Johnny quit his 9 to 5, he drink full time, now he's living in a bottle. See that black boy over there running scared. His old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. He ain't done pawned off damn near everything. His old woman away for bottom. Welcome to the Reality Check with Charles Butler here at Red State Talk Radio. We are going to get busy today. We got a lot to cover, a lot of things to cover. You know, I had said I wasn't going to talk about the impeachment. I thought it was bloviating. I thought it was insulting. I think it is a travesty against the country, a waste of time. And I think that all of the people who are participating in this effort to impeach the president, who's no longer Donald Trump, I should say, private citizen, former president, they should donate their salaries to the Keystone Pipeline people. How about that? How about that? But look, I want to bring on a friend, Ms. Jennifer Kerr, and we're going to talk a little bit about the phony impeachment and how many Republicans are about to get primary challenges. Lord have mercy. Let's get with it. Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Great to be with you.
Well, thank you. And look, you know, we have to primary these people. That's exactly what we need to do. And by the way, folks, Jennifer Kearns is the host of a newly syndicated show called All American Radio with Jennifer Kearns. And she's served as a GOP strategist and spokeswoman for the California Republican Party. And you've also worked in Colorado, I guess, on the Second Amendment. So where's your show being nationally syndicated, by the way?
We're on in Los Angeles on 790 KABC, the longtime flagship station of Larry Elder and Sean Hannity and all those guys. We're on Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino. We're in Denver, Colorado, Colorado Springs, and Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. Those are great markets. You know,
yeah.
So Jennifer, you know, I think that, you know, I always say to people, and they really don't get this because it's not talked about in the news media, and that is the Tea Party was formed to attack rhinos, to go after rhinos, to go after these people that we were continually sending to Congress who refused to do the business of the people. And when they got to Congress, they didn't do anything, more importantly, and they sat back and capitulated to the Democrats, and they continue to do that. If it weren't for Donald Trump, I don't know where this country would be today. And we'll see the next 4 years where we're going, which isn't a good place given these last 4 weeks. But we'll get to that in a little while. Okay, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, the one thing that President Trump did, whether people like him or not, he did give Republicans a roadmap of how to have a backbone. You know, back, 10, 15 years ago in the Bush administration, you know, we were all told, you know, everybody has to wait their turn and everyone has to play nice and you can't speak ill of another Republican. Well, those rules all went out the window when all of the Republican establishment started attacking Donald Trump. And he really showed the base how to have a good, solid backbone and to not be afraid of the repercussions in the press, repercussions, you know, on Capitol Hill, repercussions in Washington, D.C. And so I think that is one thing in the post-Trump era that I'm watching most closely is how do people handle personal attacks and cancel culture and all of that stuff in the post-Trump era when we've been shown how to be tough, stand strong, and all of that.
Well, Donald Trump was a developer in New York. I mean, what do people expect? The guy was a developer in New York. He had to deal with the mafia. He had to deal with the mafia. He had to deal with unions. He had to deal with people needing handouts. He had to deal with resettling people. He had to deal with everything. You name it, he had to deal with it in his various development projects, even here in Chicago, to name one. But it's about doing the people's bidding and doing the people's work. When you look at a guy like Jim Jordan, and I've always admired Jim, Jim gets up, goes to work every day, and he does what he's elected to do. and that's to stand up for the American people. These people
Yeah.
like Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and these other globalists, and that includes W. These people had sold America out. How can you put China ahead of America? I could never, I don't know how old you are, but I could never imagine sitting in a classroom and reading a book that Joseph Stalin was a great human being. And he may have killed a few people, but those people were dissidents and they were against the great job he was doing in the Soviet Union to bring the Soviet Union together to be a great nation. And we have these kind of books in our schools. Mao was a great guy. Yeah, he killed 30 million people, but he had to do that because he needed to eliminate dissenters who were against communism. And communism is a good thing because it helps all of us to be equal and to have the same things.
Right, except for the fact that, communism actually brings everyone down to the lowest common denominator. So it ends up being not good for all people. Look, Mao not only killed 30 million people, socialism around the globe has killed 100 million people in its history. And Americans would be wise to do some research on this and brush up on their history because, the word socialism is thrown around Washington, D.C. a lot these days. Well, and if people really knew what that was and how many people had killed, the majority of those 100 million were women and children.
Jennifer, I have a godson, beautiful boy, beautiful young man, intellectually gifted, graduated from Oberlin with honors in what? Political science. So we're having breakfast one morning, and we're having breakfast one morning, and he's at Columbia Law School, okay, studying. That's how bright the kid is. He's in Columbia Law, going into his second year. We're having breakfast. I said, well, who you got in the election? He says, I like Bernie. I think Bernie has some great ideas, free college, this, that, and the other. Now, mind you, his parents paid for his education from the time he was 3 years old, clear up through law school. They paid for his education. He didn't get a free education. He didn't go to public school. So I'm sitting there and we're having breakfast and I'm looking at him and I'm laughing and he's eating. And I said, well, how are you going to pay for all this free stuff? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, how much money you think you're going to make coming out of law school? He said, 152. I said, well, let's round it up to 2. So Bernie wants to take 60% of what you make in taxes to pay for all the free stuff. So what does that leave you? And he said, not much. And I'm going, yeah, exactly. He said, but I've worked hard for what I got. I said, that's true. But you want others to benefit from your work because you're a good person. And that's what socialism is. Do you know he really didn't know what socialism was? He graduated from Oberlin. He graduated from Oberlin in political science with honors, and he did not know what socialism. I had to explain what socialism really was to him that morning.
That is such a failure of our education system, isn't it? That the kids don't know what history is. And look, we can learn a lot from history. You mentioned Mao. There was something interesting that happened in China called the Cultural Revolution from 1965 to 1975. Very similar. Unknown numbers of people died in China, and they called it the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, they think 30 million.
Same sort of as the cancel culture today, right? It was like purging thought, purging professors who didn't support the Communist Party, and so on and so forth. And look, I have friends whose parents still live in Beijing. They themselves grew up in Beijing. They said it was the biggest chill on free speech and on just human rights for that 10-year period. I do fear that we're headed toward that in this country unless people start getting that backbone and speaking out. By the way, the names of the people who support the impeachment of President Trump, as you listed at the top of the show, those are all the usual suspects. Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, Lisa Murkowski. Those people are the barely Republicans of our party, right? I mean, that is the usual anti-Trump cast of characters, kind of like a broken down cast, like a Misfits of the Avengers film or something. These are the people that I think will get primaried the next time they're up for office. Maybe not Lisa Murkowski, because the Murkowski name is pretty powerful in Alaska, but I think Mitt Romney will see a challenger in 2024, and I think that race could get pretty interesting.
Well, Pat, Toomey, he's retiring, so he's not worried about anything. He's trying to set himself up so that he can get invited to the cocktail parties. Oh, you voted against President. Oh, you had so much courage. You had so much courage. Would you like to spend the evening with me, Senator? I would just love to have you over for dinner, Senator, and pick your brain. I mean, these people, they are so shallow. I worked in Washington for a long time. I know a lot of politicians, and I think they're very shallow, uninteresting people, like Barack Obama, one of the shallowest men that I know. Seriously.
Yeah.
One of the shallowest men that I know. I mean, this is a guy who thinks he's smart. So, when he's around black people, he's always quiet because he thinks he's the smartest black man in the room. I had to call him out because he's half black, one. And, and the only way and the only reason that he even deals with black people is so that he can get elected. Other than that, he hates black people. Everything that Barack Obama's policies ever did was against black people. Whenever it came to black people, he was kind of, well, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, Barack, you started way up the chain. Your mom, your grandmother, your white grandmother was a VP at a bank, and your grandfather had money, and your stepfather, Sotoro, he was the minister of petroleum for Indonesia. He was rich, and from what I understand, you have a sizable trust fund out there, dude. So, pull them up by your bootstraps. Oh, by the way, Barack Obama's policies impacted negatively HBCUs. He took money from HBCUs that was in the budget already. He denied them access to funding. He also his loan program and punishing schools and denying schools aid who defaulted on federal loans impacted HBCUs more than anyone because they had higher defaults. Why? Because these kids come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. And when they leave and go into the workplace, they go into lower paying jobs. So, this is a guy, don't get me talking about Barack Obama, because I swear to God, and I swear to God.
It's all true, though. It's all true.
But I swear to God, Jennifer, if I ever see this guy, hey, send me some bail money, okay?
Yeah. It's interesting. Look, Barack Obama, went to one of the wealthiest high schools in Hawaii. He went to Punahou High School. And as you mentioned, various things about his background there. He was definitely not a champion of African Americans, oddly enough. And race relations were the highest in 50 years.
Well, Jennifer, let me correct you on something. And Larry Elder tries to steal my stuff, which I really hate. But I'm gonna. He steals my stuff all the time. I mean, that's another guy who's a little weak, but that's okay. Please ditch the term African American. That was a term that was made up in 1986 by Jesse Jackson and a lady named God, I can't come up with her name right now, but Elderman. Her last name is Elderman. She made up that term, and Jesse came out and she tells the whole story. I got it on tape. I'm telling you, I hate that term. Most black people hate that term. We are Black Americans. We are not African Americans. Africa is a damn continent. Africa is a continent. And by the way, all of these so-called African Americans, they never ask what you're doing for Africa. What you doing for Africa, Mr. President? What you doing for Africa, Mr. Congressman, Mr. Senator? Africa is a continent. And then it's like today, we got one of these impeachment managers, right? And the first thing that he does is he stands up and says, I'm the son of an immigrant. Take your ass back to Niger or wherever the hell you came from. That's my.
Right.
I'm an immigrant. I'm not a descendant of a slave. Well, I am a descendant of a damn slave. I am not an immigrant. I helped build this country. My people built this damn country. And for black folks, see, we got duped in the 70s with people like Jesse Jackson and some of these other folks to, this ain't my country. Black Americans have fought in every damn war we had. But let me just share this with you. This is Black History Month. I'm gonna share this with you real quick. The blacks who fought for the British, it was about 20,000 of them. They were freed, the blacks who fought for the British, and the British took them when they left and moved. When the British left the shores, they dropped them in Nova Scotia, and they resettled blacks in Sierra Leone. Okay, free blacks. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the 7,000 or so Black Americans who fought for the American Revolution, they were sent back into slavery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we start dealing with these things, when I deal with these things as an American from a historical perspective, I just deal with the facts. The facts are what they are. That's what we did to these Black people. That's what we've done to Black people, and we continue to face these issues. And I say, let's get over it. As my British friends tend to say, you Americans spend too much time on race.
Right. It's true. And look, the 100-year history, here is the truth, since it is Black History Month. For a 100-year period from 1865 to 1965, you know what party actually blocked every civil rights legislation?
Democrats.
You can look this up in the Library of Congress. Democrats.
Yeah.
From the 13th Amendment to the 14th Amendment to the 15th Amendment the 1960s Civil Rights Act, including Senator Al Gore Sr. and John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy.
Amazing.
Yeah, I want to thank you. And LBJ saw the light. He saw that he could not stop the civil rights legislation. And so it always pisses me off. It always pisses me off when they go, well, Martin Luther King marched, and that's why we got the civil rights laws, because of the marching bull crap. The laws were got because they were already had wound their way through the Congress. We had the Civil Rights Act of 57 and 60, which were neutered and watered down by Senator Johnson and the Senator, I forget, Russell from Georgia. So they took the enforcement clauses out. So when I start working in government and with government programs, and they would pass these laws, they would pass these great, beautiful, well-written laws with all of this verbiage in them about, the 10% set aside rule. This was passed in the late 80s. And it said that any defense contractor had to spend 10% with Black companies, right? But it had no enforcement clause.
Right. It's bonkers. And look, going back to MLK, he was a registered Republican. I'm going to get hate mail over this, but it's true. He was a registered Republican. His niece, Alveda King, even says so. And Randolph, the guy who organized MLK's March on Washington, was also a registered Republican, was a Republican on record, espoused Republican views. And Martin Luther King Sr., MLK Jr.'s father, was a Republican. He came out, he was a public endorser of Richard Nixon back in the day. If you really want to look at where the narrative started changing, you're absolutely right. It was with Jesse Jackson in the 70s and 80s. That's when Americans kind of lost their history in terms of who was really on the side of Black Americans.
Well, we actually started that turn back with Roosevelt. And we started that turn because Roosevelt allowed a few Blacks into the New Deal programs. My father, recalls when he allowed Blacks into the CCC camps. And my father was a boy at the time, and he's, Roosevelt. So my dad goes into World War II, a segregated Navy. He can't even wear insignias on his uniform, on his blouses. In the Navy, you have, these little things you put on your shoulder, the enlisted guys. And, so when I get to college, I'm doing all this research on this stuff, right? And I'm writing this paper. And my paper, the premise was, if Black soldiers and sailors, the military men, hadn't performed so valiantly in our wars, that Blacks wouldn't have had the social economic progress that we did from the Civil War forward. So when you look at, Jennifer, when you look at the first national holiday of our country, it was Crispus Attucks Day. Crispus Attucks was a Black man who was the first person shot in the Boston Massacre. Now, why isn't that in our history book? I always say to myself, why would white people take that out of the history book? The two heroes of Bunker Hill were two Black men named Hale. One was named something Hill, and another guy. I have their names written down. I mean, it's not hard to look up, but they were certified. It's certified and written that these two black men were the heroes at Bunker Hill.
Yeah.
Totally written out of history. Teddy Roosevelt never charged San Juan Hill. That was the Negro troops of the 10th Cavalry. That's not Charles Butler saying that. That's the U.S. Military Archives saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really remarkable. It's really remarkable. Every American should be taking the opportunity for the month of February to be researching this stuff, reading this stuff, because you can't rely on the mainstream media.
But we can't.
You can't rely on academia.
But we can't. But listen.
To do it for you.
But listen. We can't listen. There is. When people ask me, like I listened to this little Candace Owens chick, and she said something. Well, I learned Black history from Charlie Kirk. Well, I'm sorry. I learned Black history from Harold Cruz, from other Black academicians who dealt with substantive issues. I know Charlie Kirk. I was here when Charlie Kirk started Turning Point. Charlie's come a long way, but Charlie's no scholar. Charlie doesn't have a college education. So I'm listening to Candace and her BS, and I'm going, she does more damage in 10 minutes than good I've do in 10 years. She turns back the clock. And the reason is because the girl hasn't done her homework. She said, well, why should we have a Black History Month? She doesn't know that it started out Black History Week by a man named G. Woodard Carter, G. Carter Woodson. And G. Carter Woodson said, if you don't know what your history is, you can't go forward. Because there was nothing see, Jennifer, I come from a time when there were no Black people on TV. I remember when the only Black people on TV came on Ed Sullivan's show. They weren't in commercials. They certainly weren't in movies. They certainly weren't in TV shows. The only Black people we saw on TV was on Ed Sullivan. I love Ed Sullivan.
The entertainment. Right.
Well, it wasn't even about, he didn't have to do it. He did it. He and Dick Clark had Black people on TV. That was the only time you would ever see any Black people on TV. And so today we kind of poo-poo and take it for granted, and we think that things have changed because you see a few Black people riding in first class. But things really haven't changed, and we need to get over. And I think that Donald Trump was a guy who got us over race. You know what Al Sharpton told me about Donald Trump, Jennifer?
What?
He said that Donald Trump gave him the seed money for the National Action Network.
No.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. And here's a fun fact. I've actually attended a National Action Network conference a couple years ago with Reverend Al. Wow, I didn't know that Trump did that. That's
okay. Let me finish. Al went on to brag that Donald Trump has given him millions over the last years to help his group. Jesse Jackson Jr. gave Donald Trump, the Donald Trump Sr., Donald J. Trump Sr., he gave him a National Lifetime Award for Achievement Award for helping Blacks and Black businesses.
Right.
And then Donald got an award along at the same time with Rosa Parks for his help with helping Black causes and Black people. And then they call this man a racist. They call him all these names. He is outdone. He is insulted. He is hurt. And I looked at his face when they would call him a racist. And I know this history, so I know what he's going through. And he's angry, and he doesn't come out he doesn't come out and react to it the way that he should, because he's angry that he's even being challenged and these people are lying on him. And he's he's mad. And I don't blame him for being angry and mad. Did I say 100%. That right? Did I say that right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But we
amazing.
We have to primary. We have to primary these rhinos. They have to go. They cannot no longer sit here and collect checks. They can no longer sit here and just collect checks without doing something for the American people. Somebody just said adios. Who was that? That was Rob. Hey, Rob, how you guys doing out there? A deuce. Okay. Hey, I'm broadcasting on what is this thing called? what is this thing called? YouTube. What I think I'm going to start doing, Jennifer, is I'm going to start going split screen where I call people on Skype and I can do a split screen.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. But I have a face for radio, even though I'm doing this little TV.
Well, it was nice to be on with you today. Thanks for having me on and for the good discussion. And hopefully we pique people's interest to go dig into history a little bit and get the real scoop.
Well, they have to. I mean, I don't know if you're watching the impeachment trials, but I have a few tapes that I could have played. But talking to you is just so interesting. I skipped all my commercials, so I have to go back and do those. But these people are just standing here lying on Donald Trump. He incited riots. Come to Washington on January 4th and just get wild. Bring your guns. And these people are saying that people brought guns into the Capitol. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that part.
That's what they just said on TV. One of the managers that they brought guns into. They're just lying. And you know what? They need to be, Stallworth should not even raise his head with his Chinese communist bought outside.
Right.
Yeah. And Diane,
100%.
Hey, but baby, what about Diane Feinstein? She had a communist spy in her car driving her around for 25 years.
Right. Right.
Do you notice you don't hear anything?
These people have no shame. They have no shame. And here, the fact that Eric Swalwell got not only censured, but he actually instead got promoted to be an impeachment manager says everything you need to know about the impeachment proceedings. It's a farce. It's a charade. It'll have no bearing on real life. It has no bearing on any real American's life. Think of the millions of people still out of work post-COVID-19. That's what Congress needs to be focusing on, getting America back to work, working for all Americans. That's why the name of my show and my website's All American News. We do things for all Americans. I'll work with a Democrat if they'll help Americans, but they don't seem to want to do that these days.
Well, I'm going to do a piece later on after you leave. And this piece is about the Wuhan lab and how the CDC said we're not buying the WHO at all. Okay, and then and we're not buying their story. Okay, and then the other story one of the other stories that I'm going to deal with is Jen Psaki and the transgender issue. Here we are having boys who are competing against girls, and they say that these girls, it would take a woman another 20 years to just qualify with these guys running.
Right.
Can you believe that?
It's insane. It's truly insane.
And then her excuse was we respect these transgender people are sick. They're sick. So just because they infiltrated the medical profession and had them change the designation as sick for these perverted ways. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm from the old school. I don't change. I'm not interested in how people have sex. I'm not going to talk about how people have sex. You won't get me to talk about it. It's not important to me. You need to act like a professional and conduct yourself in an honorable way at all times, and then we won't have a problem. But
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm certainly not talking about how you prefer to have. How crazy is that? I mean, I think it's disgusting. And I had.
Look. I actually predicted this 12 years ago. I was the spokesperson for Prop 8, the campaign in California to uphold traditional marriage.
Right.
We had the huge support of Black Americans, huge support of Catholics, huge support of Mormons, you name it, all the people who have great family values.
Right.
And we warned about this and we were made fun of greatly. I mean, there were pieces in the Hollywood Reporter against me saying, oh, they're so hateful that you don't like gay people. It wasn't about that. We talked in that campaign about the fact that in 5-10 years time, you were going to have, sex ed being taught to kids in kindergarten, and you were going to have, transgender disco drag queens doing, library reads for kids. And sure enough, what happened 12 years later, it's all happened. You know why? Because the Democrats are so predictable.
But not only that, This country voted that marriage is between a man and a woman. The country voted that way. There was a law. The law was signed into law by Bill Clinton. The act was called the DOMA Act, Defense of Marriage Act. And you had 9 unelected people overturn the will of the people.
Yep. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's not, and it's dangerous, is what it is. You had the Supreme Court overturn a law, not an executive order, a law.
Right. Well, look, I'm deeply disappointed by the Supreme Court not hearing 2 key cases in the November 2020 election.
Right.
I thought that was dereliction of duty. They abandoned their post. And then for John Roberts not to weigh in on the impeachment sham that's currently going on. As far as I'm concerned, there's no real Supreme Court in DC these days. I mean, what is the purpose? What is their purpose?
But Jenna,
anyway, hey, I've got to jump. They've got me on a tight radio tour, so I got to jump. I'm a few minutes late to my other show, but wanted to keep talking to you. I could talk to you all day.
You too. Bye, Jennifer. Good luck.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. That was Jennifer Kern. Look, we're going to take a little break for the cause, and we'll be right back. So I hope you enjoyed that little hit. We'll be right back, folks.
Hello, this is Dan Perkins from America's Cannabis Conversation, and I'm here to talk to you about how you can take responsibility for your own health. CV Science products that can help you empower yourself against the COVID-19 virus are CV Acute and CV Defense. The Acute product is taken at an early onset of feelings of discomfort and works over 3 days to assist your immune system to fight off the virus. The second product is CV Defense, which is taken daily, and it helps to optimize the power of your immune system to fight off this virus. Recently on my program, I had an interview with Dr. Michael Lewis, who's been in public health for decades. I asked him about personal responsibility, and he said,
"You are responsible for your own health. Don't count on the government to provide you with a magic pill or a magic shot for your health. That is your personal responsibility."
If you want to empower yourself and take control of your health care, go to empoweryourself.info. That's empoweryourself.info and take care of your health care.
Hi, this is Charles Butler, the host of the radio show, The Reality Check with Charles Butler. At Asset Benefits, we provide our clients with the rates and benefits from over 20 top-rated life insurance companies. We make you informed decision makers about final expense, mortgage protection, and securing your family's financial stability with the loss of a loved one. Hey, don't wait. Pick up the phone and call 312-667-9111 for your free quote and evaluation. So don't leave your family in a financial crisis because of a failure to plan for financial needs. Please call us for a free analysis and quote at 312-667-9111. Thank you.
Distinguished Senators, Council, like several of you, I am a child of immigrants. And as a son of immigrants, I believe firmly in my heart that the United States is the greatest republic that this world has ever known. A hallmark of our republic, the days of George Washington, has been the peaceful transfer of power. For centuries, we've accepted it as fact. Unfortunately, sadly, we know now that we can no longer take that for granted. Because as lead manager Raskin explained on January 6th, the peaceful transition of power was violently interrupted when a mob stormed this Capitol and desecrated this chamber. As you'll see during the course of this trial, that mob was summoned, assembled, and incited by the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. And he did that because he wanted to stop the transfer of power so that he could obtain power, even though he had lost the election. And when the violence erupted, when they were here in our building with weapons, he did nothing to stop it. If we are to protect our republic and prevent something like this from ever happening again, he must be convicted.
Wow. He must be convicted. For what? For what? He didn't tell the people go riot. Here's this guy. He's from somewhere in Africa. And he's going to come over here and tell us about America and what we need to do and what we need to be about. And this is the thing about white folks. You think because he's black that he's an American, just like Obama. You think because Barack Obama is black that he's a black American. He's not. Barack Obama is more culturally white, even though he has black skin. And this young man here, Nikius, he's all messed up. He gonna try to tell us what America, the peaceful transfer of power, and the president incited an insurrection. Shut up. You know what an insurrection is. Go to what country is this dude from? I just got to find out because, I know whatever country it is, it's a warring country, right? And I know that they don't have a democracy in whatever country it is he's from because his black ass is over here. Okay? Like I said, all the Africans I know trying to get their black asses to America. I remember talking to this guy one day. I was in Africa, and this guy was busting my chops. He's like, yeah, you're an American. You Americans, you go around the world, you take things from people, you take their resources, and I just despise America. But when I get there, I'm gonna buy me a Cadillac. True story, dude. True story, dude. So when I get there, I'm gonna buy me a Cadillac. Gotcha. Oh man, that's too funny. That's too funny. Now, this young man, he's from he's elected from Colorado, liberal folks in Colorado. Let's see here. And he was 6 years old when he came to America, right? They moved from Bakersfield. Yeah. So that's where his parents live. So he was I guess he's an American. He was born here, but he claims that he's an immigrant. He's the son of immigrants. Well, I'm not the son of an immigrant. Okay. And I'm proud of it. I'm trying to see where his parents are from though, because they just don't say in this little what is it called? It's come on, man. It's the Wikipedia. Trying to figure out. He opposes increased military spending. Of course he does. Immigration. He supports a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants in the U.S. Of course he does. Wants to bring more of his kind in. Gun laws. He supports universal background checks and believes there are limitations to this sex. Of course he does. He's a foreigner. Get his black ass out of here. Okay? And I would tell him that. I mean, I would hurt his feelings. I'd make him cringe, okay? I wouldn't play with the boy. I'm just trying to figure out where his parents are from. And I can't do that because it doesn't tell me. Let's see where they were married. His younger sister. Family moved to Colorado. Okay. Immigrated to the United States. Ithra. His folks are from Ithra. Yeah. Take your ass back to Ithra. And you know how war torn Ithra is. Ithra in Ethiopia, they've been in a civil war or a war because they're two different countries. They've been in a war for the last 20 years. That's why his black ass is over here. That's why his parents came over here. I'm tired of bringing these damn refugees in here. I'm tired of bringing people in here. Ted Kennedy started that to stop the improvement of black folks' lives. Oh, now they got this black woman congressman who's testifying at the impeachment managers, and CNN is talking about how eloquent they are, and they can speak well, and they make such an eloquent case, but they're lying. An insurrection. Well, every time they use that word, they're lying. There was no insurrection. If there were, they would have taken over the Capitol, because the Capitol could not. The people who were there, the police could not have stopped 800,000 people. Do you notice they never talk about how many people were there on Capitol Hill who'd come to Washington to support the president? Okay, let's see. Okay, why? Okay, so Adios is really Americans descendant of slaves. Americans descendant of slaves. So here we go. Robert's watches say they were in the building while he was still giving his speech. That's true. They were in the building while Trump was giving his speech. So how did he incite the riot? This was all planned. We know that now. And they're still trying to tell the lie that he incited them. He incited them before they got there. Laughing out loud because of all that peaceful transfer of power in Africa. No question. Laughing out loud and buying a Cadillac. It's a true story, man. True story. Dude said, I'm going to buy me as soon as I get to America, I'm going to buy me a Cadillac. That's what the dude said, man. I ain't lying to you. I laughed. We both laughed at how absurd, because, he'd been dogging me, hey, dude, America, I hate America. You Americans, you have everything. See, they ran from their home country. We're descendant of slaves. This is our home, no question. And you should defend it that way. You should be very hostile to outsiders. Not hostile physically, but in protecting what is yours, what is your God-given and constitutional given rights to be here in America and to live a free life. Anyway, so we're going to segue back to the what do you call it? The commercial here, and then we'll be back in a minute. We're going to talk about Jen Psaki and transgenderism.
Hello, this is Dan Perkins from America's Cannabis Conversation, and I'm here to talk to you about how you can take responsibility for your own health. CV Science products that can help you empower yourself against the COVID-19 virus are CV Acute and CV Defense. The Acute product is taken at an early onset of feelings of discomfort and works over 3 days to assist your immune system to fight off the virus. The second product is CV Defense, which is taken daily, and it helps to optimize the power of your immune system to fight off this virus. Recently on my program, I had an interview with Dr. Michael Lewis, who's been in public health for decades. I asked him about personal responsibility, and he said,
You are responsible for your own health. Don't count on the government to provide you with a magic pill or a magic shot for your health. That is your personal responsibility.
If you want to empower yourself and take control of your health care, go to empoweryourself.info. That's empoweryourself.info and take care of your healthcare. Hello, this is Dan Perkins, and I want to talk to you about CV Science's new product to give you a healthy immune system. The all-natural product is called CV Defense, and this supplement is designed to protect you against attack on your immune system. Take it every day. Keep your immune system and you healthy. Be proactive about protecting your immune system and protecting your body by using CV Defense. For more information, you can go to empoweryourself.info. That's empoweryourself.info.
Hi, this is Charles Butler, the host of the radio show, The Reality Check with Charles Butler. At Asset Benefits, we provide our clients with the rates and benefits from over 20 top-rated life insurance companies. We make you informed decision makers about final expense, mortgage protection, and securing your family's financial stability with the loss of a loved one. Hey, don't wait. Pick up the phone and call 312-667-9111 for your free quote and evaluation. So don't leave your family in a financial crisis because of a failure to plan for financial needs. Please call us for a free analysis and quote at 312-667-9111. Thank you. Okay, we're welcome back to the Reality Check with Charles Butler, and I'm going to play a quick piece. You're going to get a kick out of this. Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki is talking to a reporter, and you know, like the other day, when Ducey asked, well, where are the green jobs? When can these people who you've laid off expect a green job? And the answer is never. Just like with the shovel-ready jobs, never. Let's play this. Let's go.
What message would the White House have for trans girls and cis girls who may end up competing against each other and sparking some lawsuits and some concern among parents? So does the administration have guidance for schools on dealing with disputes arising over trans girls competing against and with cis girls?
I'm not sure what your question is.
The president's executive order.
I'm familiar with the order, but what was your question about it?
My question is, does the president have a message for local school officials on dealing with these kind of disputes that are already starting to arise between, trans girls who are competing and cis girls in a level playing field, particularly in high school sports when it leads to college scholarships? Is there any kind of messaging or clarification that the White House wants to give on the executive order?
I would just say that the president's belief is that trans rights are human rights, and that's why he signed that executive order. And in terms of the determinations by universities and colleges, I would certainly defer to them.
Isn't that about one stupid answer? You have these boys in where is it? In Connecticut, black boys. I mean, they are burning. They burn these girls by about 10 yards, man, in any of these dashes, right? 10 yards, right? They would even qualify for a race with the boys. They wouldn't qualify for the quarters, let alone the semis or the finals. But I'm gay. What does a 15-year-old know about sexuality? Nothing. When I hear these, they just want attention. Oh, I'm gay. I'm gay. No, you're insecure. And you're stupid. You have no morals and values. That's what you are. You're a disciple of Satan. It may be going a little far, but that's the way I feel. Anyway, I'm just saying. Hey, these things happen. So that's how Jen Psaki approached the issue about the transgender executive order. Didn't help. She didn't dispel anything. She certainly didn't solve anything. And the president just created more problems. Wuhan. I've been saying that Wuhan, the lab in Wuhan, the biotech lab in Wuhan, the bioweapons lab in Wuhan leaked the virus. So this is the thing you have to ask yourself. The World Health Organization is full of crap. China, this is China's own doing. They admit to this. They stopped travel for anybody leaving Wuhan, going into China anywhere. They did. Not me. They did. Okay? And then they say, well, we didn't really do it. But so why did you stop anyone from Wuhan going to the rest of the country? People from Wuhan couldn't go to Beijing because they had COVID-19. They were infected, but they could leave and come to America and Europe. And so this is what CDC had to say about this. Let's see. Let me play the clip for you. So this is a short clip. And the guy really did a nice job. So I want to give him some props. Must be a Trump guy.
And clearly, the Chinese, at least heretofore, had not offered the requisite transparency that we need, and that just as importantly, again, the international community needs, so that we can prevent these sorts of pandemics from ever happening again. This goes back to one of the very first actions that President Biden took as president when he re-engaged with the WHO. Look, we know that there needs to be international cooperation if we are going to be able to be in a position to staunch future outbreaks or epidemics before they become pandemics. The WHO is leading this investigation. We clearly support this investigation. We recognize there's an urgent need for an investigation, but I wouldn't want to be conclusive yet about any sort of cooperation that the WHO.
That's exactly right. The WHO got duped, or maybe they're trying to dupe us. Either way, doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference. Hey, we got 3 minutes left. I think 3 minutes. Yeah, we got about 3 minutes left. And so today, I'm going to do a hit for Black History Week on Morris Garrett. Because you guys who got up, you left the house today, and if you drove, you used one of his inventions. Morris Garrett was the son of two former slaves. Garrett Morgan, his name's Garrett Morgan, had little more than a grade school education. But that didn't stop the Ohio man from becoming an inventor with a rare gift for designing machines that saved people's lives, including an early version of the traffic light. And this was a 3-light system. That was the difference in Morris Garrett's system, the system we use today: red, green, yellow, or red, yellow, green. As a young teenager, Morgan got a job repairing sewing machines, which led to his first invention, a revamped sewing machine, and his first entrepreneurial venture, his own repair business. Soon he was inventing other products, including hair straightener for Black Americans. And in 1916, he patented a safety hood, a personal breathing device, which protected miners from poison and firefighters from smoke. How about that? So these people, these guys who have been constantly trying to keep Black people out of the mines and out of the fire department, use and depend on a piece of gear every day that was designed by a Black man. And they used this gas mask. It's what it was, really, a gas mask during World War I to save many lives because they were using a lot of chemicals during that time. So to avoid the racist resistance to his product, Morgan hired a white actor to pose as the inventor while he wore his hood during the presentations to potential buyers. Later, after witnessing a car and buggy crash, Morgan was inspired to create a traffic light, which had 3 signals: go, stop, and stop in all directions, to allow pedestrians to safely cross the street. It also had a warning light, now today's yellow light, to warn other drivers they would soon have to stop. The traffic light was patented in 1923. Year my dad was born, and Morgan eventually sold the design for $40,000 to GE. His legacy can be seen today at every intersection across the country and the world. How about that? Black History Month, Charles Butler style. Garrett Morgan. How about that? Well, folks, we are coming up near the end of the show, and it just comes all too soon. I hate to go. I really hate to see you, but it's time to go. And that's what we do here, though. We bring you information that we hope will be useful to you and that you can use, especially around the water cooler. Because, that's where a lot of information gets passed, boy, at the water cooler. But it's lunchtime for me. It's almost 2:00 Central. So I'm going to go grab some lunch, and I think I'm going to grab chili with crackers and cheese. Yep, that's exactly what we're going to have. So look, thanks again for tuning in, and I really appreciate you. Hope you come back tomorrow. Same time, same place. We'll be doing our thing right here at The Reality Check with Charles Butler.